Welcome to the Natural Visionaries, the podcast where we redefine success in motherhood and in business through faith, purpose, and community. I'm Anna Bordner. I'm a mom, I'm an engineer, I'm an entrepreneur, and a firm believer that God has uniquely called us to create a life that aligns with His vision, not the world's expectations. Here, we have honest conversations with moms who are building businesses, raising families, and living out their purpose as visionaries, making an impact. So if you're ready to embrace a life of faith, freedom, and fulfillment, you're in the right place. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast. All right, quick little intro. I am introducing my friend Rachel from Somewhere Rach. She is a travel blogger and she lives in my hometown of Jupiter, and I was introduced to her from a friend. I just wanted to have her on this podcast because I think what she's doing is awesome. She still is working full time, but she's also creating something that can take her through the rest of her years with this travel blog. She can do it while she's working full time. She can do it in the future when she has kids. So I think that this conversation with her, even though she's not a mom, that you guys are going to get a lot out of this and learn a lot from her. So enjoy. Hi, Rachel. Welcome to the Natural Visionaries podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here. Okay, so Rachel is a blogger from Somewhere Rach. She's a travel blogger, she's a planner and a storyteller who's passionate about creating authentic and immersive travel experiences. And I can attest, she definitely walked me through a whole flight dilemma that I was having. So she's good. And through her blog, she helps curious travelers explore the world more meaningfully with a focus on adventure, which I think is awesome because this girl travels and I'm here for it, which is great. And I actually got the opportunity to work with you on your website, which is so fun. So I got to do a little deep dive in your business, but maybe you take this away and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, what your life looks like in this season that you're in.
Yeah, of course. I just recently turned 30, so it's very exciting. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And I work full time. I live in Jupiter, Florida, and I go to the beach and I work out, and that's what I love to do. And then I have created this whole little wonderful heart child, my soul child, this Somewhere Rage platform for me to explore what I love doing and help other people to do it and kind of just put out a whole place and platform for people to get more comfortable with traveling and meaningful travel and finding the value and what that can add to our lives. Because sometimes, we can get so trapped in the day to day, wake up, work out, eating right, habits, water, do we drink enough water? Did I wash my face? Did I go to work? Did I do the right thing? And it just sometimes becomes so, routine that sometimes breaking out of that routine brings something special to us and helps us to remember that there's a whole big world out there and not just our day-to-day routine.
That is so true. Sometimes now I'm living in the Melbourne area, but there would be days where I left Aquesta and just drove north through Ocala and I'm like, wow, there's a whole other world besides
Yeah.
Jupiter to Cuesta, Florida. There's so much more out there.
I-
I love what you said about meaningful travel though. And I think we probably talked about this when we did your website, but remind me your story. Like what got you into traveling to begin with?
When I graduated high school, my dad said, "Hey, this is crazy, but instead of taking going straight to college, would you want to take a leap year?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" And he was like, "Good, you can go to Thailand." My aunt and uncle were living there at the time. I don't even think I could point Thailand out on a map. Thank you, public high school. But I was like, "Sure, why not?" And it changed my life to see a whole different side of the world where it's just totally different. Everything is innately different, and that experience made me realize that there's so much out there, and there's something for everyone. It kind of also opened my eyes to just like the rule of abundance. Like there's so much out there. There's no scarcity as far as, the competition and, all of this stuff. It's like there is something for everyone, and there is a whole place for us to explore that and reinvigorate ourselves in this life that we're living. You know, there shouldn't be a dull moment because there's so much to learn and explore, and I mean other people and the way that they live their lives, and I think it brings compassion and empathy to our everyday lives as well. Just there's so much, you know, how do you even quantify it in a very concise way, but it changed my life. So ever since then, I've just been going as many places as possible and seeing as much as I can because why not?
Yeah, and I think about the stage that I'm in right now and how I see people traveling in my just in my circle, and we go and we like have drinks by the pool or we go sit on the beach. And while that is like sometimes you just need a break and to go sit on the beach with a margarita or whatever, the whole meaningful part of this is really just like sticking with me. Like my husband went to El Salvador, oh gosh, almost 3 years ago now, and his experience there like blew his mind with the people he met and just really it was like the people he met. He didn't really tell me much about the place, although he liked the pool of where he was staying. But the meaningful part of it is just something that sometimes, so I'll be 40 this year and like three kids, and then the whole
Yes.
meaningful part of it is like, can I sit on the beach with a book? So it's just refreshing to hear someone talk about travel in a way that I don't see it portrayed like on Instagram in my friend circle and things like that. So I just want to say I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, and I think that trust me, everybody needs R&R. Like you need rest and recovery. It's important to all of us. However we get that, it is so important. But there's a way to rest and recover and still engage in local culture, the food, the language, things that make a place special. So it's like you're resting and recovering, but you're learning more about the world, and it doesn't have to be heavy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't
So
have to feel like a chore while you're there,
right.
too. Okay.
There's a way to balance it. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
being more intentional with your time too sometimes it is the same, saying building a story around where you're going because you know that this place is special for this reason, and then you're learning on top of it. Like when we went to Oaxaca in Mexico, Oaxaca makes all the mezcal tequila in the world. Like that's where it's from. And we were definitely having a taste test, but we
Yeah.
were learning and having fun at the same time. So we got to go to the farm and see how it's made. And that's just like I think that's important because you bring
Yeah.
something back with you.
Totally. Plus the bottle of mezcal I'm sure you brought back.
Well, it didn't make it
Good.
back, but yes.
So you took your year of travel and then did you go to college?
Yes,
Where did you go?
University of North Carolina.
Oh,
Um, and then I moved to Florida.
cool.
And then I moved to New York. And I worked in the corporate lifestyle with Alice and Olivia. It's a contemporary fashion brand in New York City. Um, and that's where I kind of like started the corporate ladder climbing and seeing like, oh, I want to work really hard and I want to be very successful and I want these things. So I would think that that was kind of the start of that cycle for my life.
Hmm.
And then COVID happened. We moved out of the city because of COVID.
Yeah.
And came back to Florida because we wanted to be outside,
Yeah.
um, not
Yep.
trapped in our studio apartment. Um, and I started with a new company in corporate sales. So I was in national sales for a furniture manufacturer that did hospitality. So, like Hilton, for example, Marriott, still kind of in the travel region, and it was still in the hospitality, it like travel and leisure. So I learned a lot about how Marriott Vacation works, how Hilton Grand Vacation works, timeshares, resorts, things like that, how they set up their hotels to create a whole experience. It's so intentional. The design, everything, every detail behind where you go in these resorts and these hotels is thought out by an architect, by a design, team. And it's incredible to think that we take it for granted when we get there, and to realize that even down to the scents that they put in the rooms to make you feel like you're where you are is so driven by your overall experience. Um, so from that, I, it just kind of all worked out to where I was like, I need to explore working on my own and seeing how far I can take that and pushing myself because maybe I don't want to be in this corporate ladder um, working every day of my life until I call it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I just remember like being in my cubicle, like, man, and just thinking of all the things I could be doing in my business while I'm sitting in my cubicle. And those last few months I was working there, I was pregnant with my son and I had like basically just had a baby as well. So I just was like pregnant and also like postpartum and then trying to like make my brain wrap around what I was doing and then just being like, oh, but I wish I could be doing like X, Y, and Z in this business. So, how do you stay focused while you're at work when you have something like this business going on for you for this blog that you're doing? Is it always in the back of your brain?
Yes, it definitely is. And I think with, and I'm sure you can attest to having your own business and working with socials and websites, and there's so many things to do, and it's like a never-ending list. It's hard to shut it off. Um, and so it is a balancing act. It does help that I travel for work, so I kind of like twofold use that. So I always try to plan like a little something for myself while I'm on a business trip, but it is exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
But I think all in all, it's worth it because it's something for me and it's something that I'm sharing with others. And I feel like it gives me like an added level of, value. Like it's special, you know?
Yeah,
Not
it
just the
is.
everyday hustle and grind. Okay, my 401k, oh, my health insurance, like
Yeah.
those things that are like we are always thinking about as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we're putting into and creating value for not just ourselves but other people as well.
Yeah. So tell me about your actual blog. Like how I guess explain it to someone who's looking at maybe starting blogging as a business. So tell me about how you're blogging as a business or how you want it to evolve to become a, a bigger part of your income or business, if that makes sense.
Yes, so right now the main focus is consistency, so working with the content, getting better at the content, writing the blogs, getting ideas, executing the ideas. Like I'm really focused on the website and creating the blogs and having a depth in my resources for people. I want it to be a tool. So I want the tool to be a viable option and beautifully, curated there and ready so that when I do step into different layers of it, being very, very serious on social, because social is almost a full-time job.
Yeah.
So, and writing takes a long time, and curating something to write and putting photos and things like that, like it takes time. So, I guess the hardest part is looking at the overall picture and then taking out the pieces and focusing on each piece at a time, opposed to getting overwhelmed by the overall picture, everything that you want done, everything you want to look, so great. And sometimes it is hard to see some of these travel creators because they have full teams doing what just me, little one me, is trying to do, with
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how people do it with a YouTube and an Instagram and a TikTok and a website and this, it takes an army to do that stuff. So just setting aside one piece at a time and focusing on that and getting good at it is really what I would recommend. Um,
Hmm.
and my main focus is the blog, is the website. So after that, I will start adding layers to it.
Yeah. So eventually, I know when we were doing your website, a big part was like wanting SEO
Hmm.
correct in there, which is
Yeah.
great for blogging in general, but is that also for use as someone who maybe wants to work with brand partnerships one day, or do you get like sponsored travel from companies? Like, how does that work in your blogging world?
So a lot of people reach out to tourism boards, like town and municipalities. Different towns have all of these, tourism boards where they actually do get people to come in and, uh, shed light on things that they can do in the area and, get exposure. So that's one way to do it. There's obviously so many travel brands to work with, and that is something I would like to move into. But my main focus right now is the blog and making sure that I have a like wonderful place and platform with depth in the content where I can show them what I'm, capable of. And a thing with the SEO is Google. SEO is really search engine optimization for Google so that when somebody Googles something, my website is ranked or rated high enough so that it shows up on Google. And that's how you get a lot of page views, which, the page views is really what companies want to see. Like how much exposure will you be giving them? What kind of numbers can you show them, especially on your analytics and things like that? So that's really what I'm working on because you have to have depth in your website in order to really rank high on Google. You have to have a lot of unique, creative content for Google to give you domain authorization. Like for instance, that's I think it's rated on a scale of 100. It's like TripAdvisor is like a 98, you know, domain authority. I'm like a 5.
Yeah.
So building that takes time, but it's just that's the main focus right now. And then obviously like different words, keywords that you're using, things like that. But it the learning experience has been the most of the fun because what do I know about any of this stuff? Nothing. So I have learned from the beginning, like SEO for dummies, everything that YouTube has to offer. I've learned so much, and I feel like it's things that can be translated into other aspects of my life as well. Learning is something that's so important to never stop doing. So it's
Yeah.
been crazy.
And I think that's kind of one of the main things that stops people from even starting. Like, I can start a blog, but then people start mentioning like, oh, you got to look at SEO. And one thing that I think both of us do is like, okay, people are scared to use Google. Like, what is SEO? Or like, help me fix my Squarespace SEO. Or what can I do to make my SEO better? Those are all things you can Google and find an answer for. Or like, how do I post a YouTube video? You can find the answer. And
It's
so,
hard though. It is hard. You have to stay strong because you're like, what the heck?
yeah, and then you can get like all squirrel and get distracted. And I think I just kind of wanted to point out that you are really good at like asking the right questions and then sticking and through and finding the answers and then executing it. So you're creative and you have that business side of your brain. And then some people struggle. They're like, oh, I'm creative, but I can't do the business side. And it's like, you can, you just have to have more patience for yourself or hire it out.
So much patience
So,
for yourself or
yeah.
hire it out.
Yeah.
Like when I met you, I was at my wit's end. I was so ready to pass off this website. I was so thankful for you and being able to have, someone that was there to bounce ideas off of, who knew what they were doing. When I was just trying to like you said, I'm literally Googling like how to work WordPress, what's a plugin, and it took so much time and energy and dedication that by the end of it, I was like, okay, I've reached my threshold. Like I've learned what I could learn. I've reached the end of my rope to where time used is not the time that I'm using is higher than the value of what I'm getting back from that time being used. I know that there is someone like when I met you, who has the answers to all of these questions, who can curate exactly what I'm looking for and execute it efficiently, and I can save that time. And you saved me hours and hours and
Oh,
hours of research,
yeah, that's
which
so
was
smart.
wonderful.
Thank you. No, thank you. I'm glad I got the opportunity to do it. So, talk about that, like your challenging seasons of this business, or even like your life that's related to what you're doing now. So, you had the website that I love what you said, like what you were getting, what you were
Mhm.
trying to put into it, you weren't getting enough
Mm-mm.
out of it. So, you decided it was time to hire. Do you have any other experiences like that? And
I mean, yeah, you have to like you reach a point that's the one thing that I feel like I learned first was when you're starting from scratch, like there is no roadmap. There is no direction signs. Like you are on your own to figure it out. And there's no one to call and say, "Hey, what do I do?" Like at work when I don't know what to do, I call somebody like that knows and says, "Hey, my IT guy, hey, I broke this."
yeah.
There's no one to call. So you just got to either figure it out or you have to rely on someone who knows what they're doing and find those resources and say, okay, is the money to be spent, the value going to outweigh the time that I could put into this? And there are a lot of times when, yes, it is. Like, I know that the value of my time is spent writing and creating the content because only I can do that. Because
Hmm.
it needs to come from my voice. I want it to be my experience and I want it to be my tool, you know what I mean? Like I want
Yeah.
it to be in my voice. I want it to be personal and I want people to see that in the content. But what I'm not good at is things that other people like you that are much better at doing. So it's almost a relief when you make that decision because it just it gets frustrating and you don't want to get hopeless or lose hope or lose your determination. So I think that there has to become a point where you say, there's somebody who's better suited for this that can help me, that I can find, and learning when to make that call.
Totally. And I can attest that too. I took a course teaching me how someone else's method for
Mhm.
doing website in a day. And I'm like, I'm going to pay this person whatever it is. I'm going to make that back on my first website this money that I spend. And
Mhm.
just having those shortcuts in place,
Yeah.
it was just so worth the money. So I just feel like people need to hear that sometimes. Like sometimes it's worth just paying for what you need rather than struggling through it, especially if it's going to stop you from doing what it is what you want to do.
Yeah. Or,
Okay.
you know,
So
and dampening your light in any way. Like you don't want to dampen your light. You want to keep hold of what brings you joy and what brings you back and keeps you going, but you don't want to lose, that push, that shove because you're not looking forward to it anymore because then you're going to lose your consistency. You're going to lose everything because you're just going to drop the ball.
that's so true. And like you're still in the corporate world. So you're seeing people with these different roles and how much easier things can be when everyone has their like little piece that
Hmm.
they need to do. So
Yeah.
it's almost like you have a a unique not unique because there's a lot of people still working, but like a perspective there that sometimes we need to recognize and put in place in our own businesses. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Absolutely.
Um I'm going to skip a question and come back to it because I feel like this one might make sense. Have you ever felt pressure to do it all? And how have you created boundaries, especially working full time, or redefined productivity as you've grown in your business?
This will be a struggle for me until the end of my
Forever.
days. There is no boundary big enough. No. Um, I always feel pressure to do it all, and I think that that's one thing about, I mean, I would consider myself a business owner now because it is mine. I have complete ownership. If I don't show up to work tomorrow, like nobody's going.
Yeah.
Like it's just me. So that's the hard thing is not getting overwhelmed by the to-do list, saying like, okay, I you still have a life, I still have a job. Like there are things that I have responsibilities that need to be done. But where can I cut out that time to just maybe get one thing done today because that one thing still compiles over time. So don't get overwhelmed by the to-do list. So that's really where the boundary is, I guess, is feeling like you have to do it all is okay, but make a list and then see what you can take off in a reasonable amount of time and then say, okay, you did what you needed to do today. Tomorrow's a new day. You'll have more time. You keep going.
So don't have a panic attack when you don't finish your entire week-long to-do list in 2 hours like I do.
Yes. And
Basically.
if you do, and you know what I love to do, when you are panicking, just put a little timer. You get 20 minutes to panic, and then after that 20 minutes, you got to keep going.
I like it. That makes a
Because
lot of sense.
we feel these feelings, we can't just shove them down. We have to like make it through
Yeah.
them and then keep going. Like, okay, I'm gonna panic for 10 minutes, but after that, I'm done.
I like it. It's like time blocking for
Yeah,
panicking, of
no,
course.
for sure, for real.
What
Like,
other, I mean, keep going with that. Hey, visionaries, you guys are the first to know about this brand new course. So imagine launching a stunning strategic website and nailing your branding all in one weekend. The weekend website is your go to course to create your Squarespace website with clarity and confidence. Plus, it includes built in branding templates and ChatGPT prompts to help you design your entire brand package and prompts to guide you every step of the way from defining your niche and your ideal client all the way through your final website copy. So there is no other course like this. It is the course that I wish I had when I first started my first business in 2015. And with its current price tag being $200 off, this course is way below the range of a $5,000 custom website. So join by June 1st and get your $200 off. Price goes up on June 1st, plus tons of extra bonuses. However, this one being important. So the first 10 people to enroll in this course get a bonus website review from me. So this is all through my business, the Dwell Society. So you can go over to thedwellsociety.com/weekend website to join now. Can't wait to see you in there. Do you have any other daily rhythms or habits that keep you grounded like this or more focused?
To be completely honest, working out. Like,
Yeah,
I wake up the same time every day. I get my run in first thing in the morning. Like, that keeps me in the realm of sanity, to be completely honest, because outside of that, probably I'm not sane. Waking up and having accomplished something first thing in the morning, I mean, even if I can just walk for 20 minutes, like getting my brain in the right gear to kind of review my day, see what I need to do. But even if I don't do any of that, just need some time to just move my body, move my soul, and like get out, get some fresh air. And then I get back and I've already accomplished something and I feel good about it. And I can only go up from there, you know? My baseline is already set so high because I've accomplished something that's good for me and my body and sets me in the right on the right path.
absolutely.
Sometimes I skip my alarm and sleep in, and then I'm lethargic, and then I don't want to get up, and then I'm like, oh, you know now I have to find other time for my workout today, which is just like, forget it,
I
because
know
once you
it's so
start
hard.
working, like, I'm not going back to that place.
No, it is. And the only time I've been able to work out lately with a garage full of stuff, we need to clean it out so I can do early mornings again, is 9:30. And sometimes like 9:30 is so hard to like get into the gym. And then by the time I get back, half my day's done.
Yeah.
So those early morning workouts are just so key to being successful. And even the days I do work out at 9:30, my day is still better. Still the same amount of time. It's just at a different time of day, which I swear feels like it's double the amount of time for whatever reason.
It's a chemical reaction. It's very important for me. I know my body is just already prepped for that. So without that, it feels like something's missing. It feels like
Yeah,
there's one less thing that I didn't accomplish today.
that's a good way
So,
to put it. Like there's something missing if you don't do it. I feel that.
yeah,
So what's something you've let go of in this season to create more space for what matters most?
honestly, this is something that is a work in progress. I need to let go of a lot more. And it is something that I feel I'm more conscious of thinking about it, because I have a very long to-do list. I love to just add to it. And it's hard to say no. And I recently just watched this random TED Talk. Elon Musk's wife gave a TED Talk about how when he was first starting his business, she noticed that he said no to everything. And I was like, maybe I'm not saying no enough. Like, maybe I'm taking on too much, which is cutting back on the time that I need to be focused. So that is definitely something that I feel like I've been more conscious of happening. Um, hey, can you go to lunch? And I should be like, I can't, because I have to, like, there's things that I need to do today. Or before, I'd be like, yes, I love lunch. I'll quit my job right now. No, I was kidding.
And I will go to lunch.
Yeah, lunch sounds great. But, other little things that come, errands, making sure that my errands are done like in the time that I've allocated for them. Just little stuff, it all adds up so quickly and then the whole day's gone.
Yeah. I feel like when I see your stories too, I feel like you're always doing something fun. Like you're at the beach or you're with maybe family or something. And you just have this like whole perspective from your point of view and your stories. I'm like, oh, you just look like you're enjoying whatever it is that you're doing.
I have a hard time saying no to my family, and my whole family lives here, so it's like I do struggle saying no to them because I feel like that is so important that time, and
Hmm.
so it was something that I was raised valuing is like family time. So every time my family comes around, I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm free. Um, but yes, but the other thing is balance. Something that I did learn when I was in New York is like I would be working. I think now back on the time that I lived there, and I was like, we never did that when we lived in New York. And it was like, oh, because I was working so much. I was never a tourist in New York City because I worked so much. There was so much I felt like I missed, and now I go back and I want to, do for fun. And I think that that taught me that there has to be balance. You have to have family, you have to have some time for yourself to reflect and also get your stuff done. But I think that comes down to time management, I'm a huge fan of timing myself. Like, okay, 1 hour, you have 60 minutes, what are you going to do with it? And then I'll break my day into that, like, okay, here's your next 60 minutes, like, what are you going to accomplish this 60 minutes? Helps me stay on track because I am very ADD brain. You know, the dryer's open, the refrige is half cleaned, the coffee's sitting on the counter, you know, the vacuum's right in the bathroom because I started that half a minute ago and I'm on a phone call. And so, you know, and then you're like, okay, no, you have 20 minutes to tidy up so that your workspace is clean, so your brain is ready to go. That's something for me. It's like I feel like my workspace has to be clean. I have to be organized so that I can be productive.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And actually, was it, I feel like you told me this. Did you put in like headphones and an audiobook when you're just doing tasks that's like easier
Yes.
to do? Tell me about that.
So I actually listen to a ton of audiobooks, but also podcasts, anything. So I guess my ADD brain is like whatever I can double whammy. So even like helpful YouTubes, like I am constantly trying to listen to something that is adding while I'm doing like mindless tasks. So I've got dishes, I've got laundry, I've got, you know, things. But at the same time, I'm like checking off a box of something that I wanted to get done anyway. So these, like back to the courses, there are so many people that do courses that are so valuable. Listening to their courses while I'm, you know, doing my laundry, it's like a double whammy for me. I feel like I'm double using time. I'm getting my work, I'm getting my life clean and organized, but also at the same time, I'm thinking and getting all this feedback about different ideas, things I can utilize, things like that. So I try not to stop getting ideas as well, because it's like the more thought you put into something, the more you have time to process it and then pick out what you need and leave what you don't. That's why,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why this podcast, you know, realm that we've entered into in our, you know, lives is so helpful, I think, for everyone because it gives you a whole new perspective on everything. It gives you something to think about and it helps open new doors that we just didn't know were there.
And I know we shouldn't be having wearing unwired headphones, but these have been like a game changer for me. While I'm trying to pick up the house, I'm either listening to an audiobook or I'm listening to a podcast, and I try to be more specific about what I choose. Like I'm
Hmm.
in a Jenna Kutcher phase just because every time I listen to one of her podcasts, I'm learning something. Like I'm about to launch a course coming up, and I'm like, I bet she has a podcast on a course. So like in my notes app, I have this whole couple pages worth of notes from her experience with launching courses. I'm like, why would I not learn from her?
And a lot
Just
of
make these
these and a
shortcuts.
lot of these resources are free. We have so I feel like sometimes we have almost so much at our fingertips that we don't utilize. It's
Yeah.
there's so many podcasts with so many great ideas. Like you could just listen forever. And when I'm traveling, something that I really love to do is listen to like the language of where I'm going in like from like in apps and things like that so that I can have like my basics down. So when I do go a new place, I feel like I'm even more involved. So
Yeah.
that's something that I'll do as well, which I'm like I love languages.
Is
That's
that a certain app or is that a podcast or
so
what
I
do you?
do a lot of the podcasts. Like there's this guy who does called Coffee Break and then whatever language you're learning. So like I do Coffee Break Spanish all the time, and then my mom's learning French, so she'll do Coffee Break French. And my significant other and I we just switched to from Spanish to Italian, so we're learning on this app called Pimsleur. And they're just like lessons that you can listen to and like repeat and things like that. So it's like kind of like the original, you know, like the original Rosetta Stone where you would like listen to
Yeah.
CDs in your car, but
Yeah.
it's not that anymore.
That's really interesting. Okay, I'll have to remember that because I keep telling myself I want to learn Spanish and then never take any steps to do it.
You would be so surprised how much you already probably know.
I know. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I could probably read it better than I can hear it just because taking however many years of Spanish in high school, like you'll remember the tenses, things that you really don't need to know for conversational
Hmm.
Spanish, I'm sure. But yeah, it's interesting.
You could book yourself a Mexico trip about a year out and say, okay, I have a year, 12 months to brush up. That's what I
Yep.
like to do.
I know. It's a good goal. I love it.
I'm like, okay, next summer we're going to Italy, so we need to practice our Italian.
Are you going to Italy? Is that the plan? Ugh,
Yes.
I love it. Italy's gorgeous.
Oh, so many
Um,
trips, so little time.
I know. Wow. This isn't on our list of questions, but how do you find time to travel outside of your full-time job? And I mean, honestly, a blog could be and is for many people a
Yeah.
full-time job in and of itself. So how do you find the time to do traveling yourself?
Very carefully, very carefully. Lots of PTO days. Um, and I recently have switched from my full-time career to another career that is fully remote so that I can do even more traveling. Like this is just a
Mm.
recent thing. So I've even just transferred into something totally remote. So I actually can take my laptop with me anywhere and travel anywhere. And this is hopefully I'm taking this step so that the blog can thrive in a way where I'm doing more long stay. So I'm doing even more in-depth travel. So like for the end of this year, I plan to do Thailand again for the month of December and January and maybe even February as well. So just something where it's like I'm totally immersed and it's going to give me the opportunity to help with more long stay travel content as well. Because I think that that's something that's also super important. Like how much can you really dive into a place in 6 days? It's hard.
That's how I feel. Like I want to go spend the summer somewhere, all of winter break somewhere. That's one of the things my husband and I talk about is like maybe potentially another property somewhere, but he works full time at a place where he has to drive to every day, which is fine. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm not complaining about his job. It's great. When you have a remote job, you can really go anywhere and be anywhere and do anything. So this other property, I'm like, we can't do one in North Carolina. It doesn't make sense. We would have to drive up and then like drive right back. So it doesn't make sense for us right now. We'll go rent something for a week out of the year. It's not worth it. Um, so I think that's really interesting. How did you find this new remote job? Everyone will want to
Just
know.
just networking, really. I know it's a terrible, that's not helpful at all, but just networking. Someone
It
reached out to me and said, I need help with this company. And I said, yeah, like let me just leap. It was a wonderful opportunity. I can't be more thankful because it's definitely something that's leading me closer to the blog in a way where I'm not tied. So I will have the opportunity to explore more options for people who want to spend more time. And how can we do that? And there's like a lot of other cultures in the world, it is totally acceptable to take the summer and go somewhere. Like when I'm in Italy and people are like, "Oh, it's August. Like we're out of here. We're not coming back for 4 weeks." And I'm like, "Why can't we adopt something like that?" I think
100%.
um, just talking about it more also and making talking about how there are more options out there and things that like have you ever read The 4 Hour Work Week?
Yes.
And how he
It's
talks
been a
about
while.
um, everybody should have mini retirements. The goal shouldn't be a big retirement. Like it should be that we work and then we take a mini retirement, and then we work and we take a mini retirement to like refresh our lives and reinvigorate us in working, and not that we should just work, 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 and then hopefully retire someday. It's like a moving target. So I think that that's part of the travel as well, as how do we get to enjoy things that we love now and want to do in the time that we have while we're young and while we're able and while we have the ability to do these things. Not just say like, okay, someday I hope we get the chance to. And it's hard. It is so hard. It's a balancing act.
Yeah. So how does that maybe expand on that a little bit? And what kind of encouragement would you offer to another blogger who's in a different stage, whether she's just starting or she's still working full time, or maybe like all of this is making her feel so burnt out and she just wants to like give it up.
Yeah. Um, It happens. It does. You feel that way. I feel that way all the time. But you just, I have to remind myself that it is about consistency. So even if all I have is 1 hour, I need to give that 1 hour the most undivided attention that I can. And need to continue that every day. And if you don't get to it one day, you can't beat yourself up about it. You just have to start fresh the next day. Because there's always going to be that, there's still life. And you have to give yourself grace and not be so harsh on yourself, but just remember that consistency is the most important thing. So if you prioritize and you make that time, that really is the focus. Any it You will be successful if you give your time and energy on a consistent basis. That is my true
Yeah.
belief.
So if you have an hour and you're overwhelmed, you have a million back end things to do and all the things, what are you going to do? Like, what is the most important thing? Which I'm going to assume is like actually blogging. But
The first thing I always do when I feel so overwhelmed like that is I make a huge list. Anything that comes to my mind, I put it on a piece of paper and say, okay, here's my piece of paper that I'm overwhelmed about. But everything is on that piece of paper. I'm not going to forget it. Because I think part of being overwhelmed is that I have so many ideas and so many things I want to do, and I don't want to forget them. I don't want them to be gone, as soon as I move on to something else. So huge list, leave that list there. Even if I never touch it again, it's there. I know that I've brain dumped everything possible. And then really it comes down to just making sure that I'm organized, making sure that my posts are scheduled, making sure that my actual calendar is up to date and ready to go, even if that means that, okay, for this hour, I had 30 minutes to write, and the thing that I wanted to post tomorrow is not going to be ready. Where am I allocating the rest of that time to do that? Where am I gaining back this time that I feel like I've missed? What am I giving up? I wanted to go to the beach on Saturday, but I couldn't do anything today except reallocate and organize and feel like I am centered with what I need to do and what needs to happen. So maybe I'm going to have to give up that half day on Saturday and just get XYZ done. Reallocating things that I feel overwhelmed about also is very helpful to me as well. Because if I feel like it's on my calendar, it's on my list, it will get done eventually.
yeah, that's so true. I even started having, like, I have my Google Calendar, but I have like a notebook with a calendar in it now. And it's just helpful to like physically write something down. And it's like Wednesday, like, I don't know, do this tiny little thing that I want to get done, but I don't put like a note in my calendar for it. It's just helpful to have things out of your brain and like written down. And you're exactly right, even if you don't touch it again.
Yeah. And even in I sometimes I try to think like I try to organize like, okay, if it takes less than 5 minutes, I need to do it right now.
Mm,
Anything more than that can go on the list. So
yeah.
if it's something that I can do immediately and it's not going to take a lot of time, I try to just do it. Just do it because then it's one less thing.
Yeah. It's
So,
then we build it up so big in our head and sometimes, oh, it was really fine.
yeah. And do not spend time overthinking things that do not have a ROI. That is something that I've learned so much. Like, I could have spent years writing my about page, but is that about page bringing me money at the end of the day or going to help my business at the end of the day? No, it needs to be there. It needs to be, right and good, but it shouldn't take me a week because that week of time that I'm going to spend on it is not going to cause me an ROI. I need to get the about page done. I need to set my time and say, okay, this is the time that I'm giving to it. I'm done with it. And then move on. I could overthink something to death, you know?
Yeah.
So, not giving yourself the time to think it out of existence, you know?
It's so true. And even at that point, like if say it is your about page, you write something up and then you can either like send it to a friend and be like, "Hey, what do you think? Edit this for me," which you probably have a list of 10, 5 to 10 friends that wouldn't mind just spending 5 minutes on it for you, or even like throwing it in Chat GPT and be like, "Hey, I know based on all these interactions we've had together, because I'm
Yeah,
sure you're also using it in your business."
hundreds. My
Like,
best friend.
yeah, edit this so that way it sounds like me. Yeah, I think that's so true. And sometimes it's just a matter of, I love that idea. If it's under 5 minutes, just do it, just get it done. So, what's next for you? What's a dream or a vision on your heart lately, and how are you stepping into it?
Really, this is my dream, and my dream, if I was just shooting for the stars, would be to have this, brainchild of mine become something that totally supplements my income. So this is my full time. Like that would be the dream because every time that I go working on it, and I get so into it and obsessive, and then I'm like, okay, well, I got to cut my time because I got to get back to my actual job now. Um, that's hard. It really is hard to kind of like rear yourself out of this project brain where you're focused and realize that you have other responsibilities that you need to focus on. So being able to give it everything every day and stay consistent with it because it is hard when you know that you're in charge and that's it. It is sometimes hard to be like, oh, I got to show up today.
Yeah.
You make excuses for yourself sometimes. You're like, well, it's beautiful outside. Maybe I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yep.
So I think it's also finding balance too. You don't want to be sucked into it so hard that you don't live your life, but also that you um, are able to do it, get it done, and be proud of it as well. So that's really
Yeah.
the goal.
And I love that. And I see this as like a possible, like down the road when you get married and have kids and you want to still have an income because you're probably like me, you still want to have an income no matter where you are,
Every
at
day.
what stage you are in life.
Yeah, forever.
Um, it's just that feeling that we want. We just want a
Yeah.
little bit of control here. Um, and so you're just building this beautiful baseline for yourself in advance. And I just think that's like something to just applaud you over and say you're thinking about it now before you have two kids 14 months apart and are crying in a cubicle. So good job.
And that is something that I've really given thought to as well, because it's something that brings joy. It's something that I know I will always be passionate about. I will always find inspiration from. And if I'm going to live this long life, God willing, then I want it to be something filled with joy and filled with passion and, experiences and, helping other people as well. And feeling, the validation from that also, that you're here to help someone else live and experience and enjoy their life the same way that you're striving to do with yours. So I think it's just a bigger picture,
Yeah.
clocking in and clocking out for someone else's, company is fine and it does wonders for us, but sometimes it's just not enough.
Yeah.
So
That creative side of your brain needs to sometimes have an outlet outside of the 9 to 5. Okay, so any last words that you want to share?
just if you're thinking about it, just do it. Don't overthink it. Just go for it. And, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be this perfectly curated, beautiful thing in the beginning, but the more you do it, the better you'll get and the more wonderful it will be. But if you don't start, you'll never finish. So
I know.
that's
I
it.
I texted my sister-in-law when I started this podcast. I'm like, I want all new pictures. Who's the photographer? This is what I want. And then I'm like, I don't even have time for this. Like, I just took everything all the pictures that I already had. I'm like, this kind of matches the colors and threw them in the website. I'm like, I'm done for now. Like, I
Yeah.
can do pictures later. And you even kind of had that same mindset when we did your website. Like,
Yeah.
let's just use what we have and then we can go back and add pictures later. Like, don't let these little things hold you up, I guess.
And the thing about having your own business, like it evolves as quickly as you do. So if you don't like it, change it. If you are not sure about it, change it. If you think that you have other things to do, worry about it tomorrow. But keep going.
Yeah.
Don't let it stop you. And that's something that is really hard to overcome sometimes because you're like, oh, I just want it to be perfect. Like, I can't publish this. The same thing with the blogs. Like, every time I put up a blog, I'm like, am I ready? Is it perfect? Did I double check it? Did I triple check it? Like, no, just post it.
Yep. The answer's no. Just post it.
Yeah, just post it. Just post it and keep going because you can come back, you can revise, you can have time for that. But the most important thing is that you know, you're putting this out into the universe for other people and you got to just do it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you for spending time with me, Rachel. Tell people how they can find you, website, Instagram, all that.
SomewhereRach.com and at somewhere.rach, Instagram.
Love it. All right, so
Of
everyone
course.
go follow her. She's a joy to follow. Well, thank you for being on today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for this experience. It was wonderful.
Yay. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Natural Visionaries podcast, episode number 8 with Rachel from Somewhere Rach. If this inspired you, I encourage you to press that share button, share it with a friend, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me, let me know you learned something new, and make sure you go over and follow Rachel on Instagram. Thanks, guys.